Good evening. Good evening. How are you, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of According to Sacha Podcast. We're here with you on Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're right here on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and typically Facebook. Last week we had some technical difficulties. We're still sorting through it, but we will have all recorded versions of this podcast on Facebook. It'll be loaded the same evening, but yeah, we're still going to go on with everything else. And so I want to thank you for always being a support of the Court and Sasha podcast. I thank you for supporting the guests who are on the show, for the platform, because remember, everything that you do for our platform, you do for everyone else that's on this show. So thank you so much. And to remember to like, follow, and share. Like, follow, and share all of our platforms. You know where we are on the video wise, on the audio part. We're everywhere, and we want you to download. We want you to follow. We want you to like. We want you to share. We want you to do all those good things and continuously tell everyone else about our show. And thank you in advance for it all. So tonight, I have my amazing, wonderful, special guest, Dr. Madeline Ann Lewis, who is a TEDx speaker, and she's also the president and CEO of the Executive Women's Success Institute. She's a career strategist, and she helps executive women get into C-suite positions and all that good stuff, but I'm not going to talk about it. I want her to talk about it. And so I want you to be ready. So if you're out there and you're watching right now, you know other executive women who want that level of success, go ahead, send them the link. Go ahead, share it. Go ahead and tell them, hey, you need to watch this because you know what? This is some nuggets that could be for you, because all our guests drops wonderful and amazing nuggets all the time. So don't sleep on this platform, I'm trying to tell you. So, but I do want to give one shout out, and this is kind of fun, kind of odd, kind of different for me. But y'all know, those who know me know that I am a fur baby mom. So my dog Taz, I got to shout out Taz. Like, he is the MVP. I'm just so happy and proud of him because he always goes to the room. He gets paid in treats whenever it's time to get him put up so he won't be the co-host. And I just, it just warms my heart that as soon as I say, okay, show's ready, he goes right to the room. So shout out Taz. But anyway, you guys, I am going to be back with Dr. Madeline Ann Lewis, and we're going to get into this conversation, and we'll be right back. Entrepreneurship, small business, is something that everybody would love to do, making their own money. And this is what we will be talking about on According to Sacha. Good evening, Dr. Lewis. How are you?
I am doing very well. How are you?
I am great. I am so ready for this 3-day weekend and just kind of lay back and chill. What about yourself?
Yes, I am ready for it also. But first, let me just thank you for having me on your show. It is such an honor. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. The honor is definitely there to have you on the show as well. And I appreciate you saying yes and being able to talk to the people and just bless them with all your wisdom and knowledge that you're going to give tonight and anything within this conversation that comes out. But before we get into it all, there's one question I ask everybody on this show.
Okay.
Tell the world, who is Dr. Madeline Ann Lewis?
Wow. Who is Dr. Madeline Ann Lewis? Well, first of all, I am a Southern girl. So I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, born and raised. Of course, I live in Maryland now. But I am also the president and CEO of the Executive Women's Success Institute. I work with women who are trying to get into upper management or executive level positions. So I'm a career strategist. I'm a business consultant, a trainer, an international TEDx speaker, an international best-selling author. And Madeline just loves life. Okay. I love life. And that's about it. Me in a nutshell.
Oh, wow. I love it. I love it. And I love your joy about, how you talk about your things that you do, your success and everything. You do it with so much joy. So I definitely know that you are really loving life and enjoying it all at the same time. Yes. I just love that energy. So let's start this conversation. All right.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, so you're a career strategist.
Uh-huh.
We hear so many things, whether coaches, whether they're business coaches,
Mhm.
sales coaches, whatever it is. But career strategist, what was it about leading you into this industry or this niche? How did you come into that?
Girl, let me tell you, I had to. I mean, when you say sometimes you're forced into things because of what you go through.
Mhm.
So because during my career, to be honest with you, it wasn't until I was laid off with one of my jobs way back when I was younger, and I got laid off and I couldn't figure out why. And, I just kept trying to figure what happened. I knew I was doing the work. I knew my performance appraisals were good. And,
Mhm.
there was a problem. So anyway, I decided to ask a friend of my mom and I told her the situation and I asked her if we could go out to lunch and talk about it. And so when I told her what had happened, she asked me two questions. She said, "Did you have a mentor?" I said, "No." She said, "Did you have a sponsor?" I said, "No." She said, "Well, that was your problem right there." She said, "Because one or both could have given you maybe a heads up to say, hey, this is what's coming down the pike. Maybe you can try to get in another area of the organization that where they weren't laying people off."
Mhm.
And so after that advice, believe it or not, I took it to heart. And every position after that, I made sure I had, uh, a mentor, a sponsor, or both. And because of that, as I went through my career, even in the military, and I didn't mention the fact that I am a retired, 22-year retired Army veteran. But when I went through the military, the first thing the sergeant did was sit me down and said, "Lewis, what do you want to get out of the Army?" I
Mhm.
said, I didn't want to tell him that I was only there to, get my schooling paid for, to get through college. So I said, well, I just want to get all I can out of it. And, I said, I want to go as far as I can. He said, well, I'll tell you how to do that. And he gave me great advice too. And again, I took the advice. And
Uh-huh.
because of that, I started moving up the ranks, not only in the military, but also when I was in civilian, positions. And so I had women coming to me wanting to know, how are you getting these promotions? How are you moving up, into these different grade levels? And because of that, they always say you never know who's watching you. And because of that, I started thinking, because they wanted me to help them with their resume, do mock interviews and different things like that. And because of doing that, I started thinking, well, why just help this little group here? Why don't I try and do it on a larger scale? And
Mhm.
that's what started me to thinking I needed to start a business where I can, try and help more women to do and to get where they're trying to go as far as their careers are concerned. Because a lot of women don't understand that having, like I said, a mentor, a sponsor, or just
Mhm.
someone that can help you navigate some of the obstacles that you might face in
Yeah.
the workplace, that you can't do it by yourself. You need to have people that will be in your corner that can help you. And that's pretty much how I got started doing this. And I love working with women, always a passion for me, working with the women. I always say men can benefit from what I do, but I prefer my ladies helping them to get where they're trying to go.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it. I love it. First, I want to say thank you for your service
Yeah.
and the 22 years in the Army. So thank you for that. And thank you for serving women.
Yeah.
That correlation, you get a lot of disciplinary training when you're in the Army or in any branch of the military service. But when you could take that and you match it with your passion and your heart, and you go to serve other people and other women, that is so phenomenal. And people can see the results through just impacting their lives, with the connection with you. And
Absolutely.
so one thing I was going to ask a question about, kind of doubling back to what you had mentioned about a sponsor and a mentor,
Mhm.
because I've been in the workforce forever as well, and upper management positions. But a lot of times as women, we can think that we're in the positions by
Mhm.
ourselves. Like we have our supervisors, we have our
Yeah.
coworkers and things like that. But how would anyone know to even think to ask for a mentor or a sponsor, and what traits should they look for in that person?
And that is a very good question. First of all, when you're looking for a sponsor, and either one, sponsor or a mentor, you want to look at the people that are doing what you want to do. So if it's someone that's moving and shaking and getting things done and making it happen, and trust me, it doesn't have to be a female. Although a lot of my sponsors and a lot of my mentors, as I went through my career, they weren't all women, and which is kind of unfortunate because sometimes women are not as willing, I have to say it, to help other women because they look at it as though if I pay too much attention to this female, then it's gonna look like I'm being biased toward her, whereas men don't really think that way. They just help other men to get where they're trying to go. But you really have to look for someone who's, like I said, doing the things that you want to do and approach them. You'd be surprised how honored a lot of people will feel when you go to them and ask them, would they be your mentor? Or would they be your sponsor? And even if they say, well, no, I don't have the time, they may recommend someone else to you. So don't take that no as I don't want to be bothered. It could just be that they don't really have the time to really focus, because when you take on that type of role, you are making a big commitment, and it's kind of an obligation to help that person along and not do everything for them or anything like that, but you're definitely trying to track them and make sure that they're staying on the right track. And if they're trying to get to say an executive level position or even upper management, you want to make sure that if they need certain skills, you recommend that to them, or you say, hey, I know that this training is coming up. You may want to look into that, because a mentor will see things in you that you don't see in yourself. And a sponsor is that person who will speak up for you when you're not in the room. And so that's why you want both of those people in your life. And you want to make sure that you hopefully have both of them in your corner.
Yeah. And a part of it too, I would say, to add on to what you just mentioned, is being able to speak up, not so much being a shell at work. Because I know sometimes we can just have our head down, do our work, we're cordial with people, keep it moving. But if you're fortunate enough to have people around you that may say, go out of their way to say hello and be very cordial back, maybe they're the ones that you might say, okay, well, let me speak up. Ask the question.
I always say, if you get in the elevator with an executive, don't feel like you can't say anything. Say good morning, say hello. Hi, I'm Madeline Lewis. I work in your division. You let them know who you are. And the next time they see you, guess what? They're going to speak to you because you stepped out of your comfort zone just to say hello. You're not going to stalk them or anything, but don't be afraid to let them know who you are. If you happen to bump into them, like I say, if you get in the elevator together, or you happen to see them at an event, and that you know them, but they don't know you, go up to them and say, hi, wow, it's great to see you here. I'm enjoying this event. I'm so-and-so, and I work, in this division. Let them know who you are. People are impressed by that because, first of all, a lot of times, like you say, especially women, we tend to, shrink back a lot. We don't want to, I always tell my clients, toot your own horn. Don't be afraid to toot your own horn. It's not about being arrogant. It's not about, thinking you all that or anything like that, but it's about letting people know who you are. And it's also about when you walk in the room, don't sit in the back. You go up front, because if you have something to say, you don't want to be raising your hand in the back and they might not even see you. You want to be up front so you can let them know that you know that you know that you know. Okay. And that's what I tell them when they come to me. And that's what we go through. You're gonna have to come out of your comfort zone, and step up and do what you need to do to try to get where you want to go. That's what I say.
I love every part of that. And as I'm listening to you talk, I'm sitting here thinking about my own, journey through the workforce and everything, and being in companies. Now, I would say for myself, I've always been fortunate enough to have people around me. I always end up being in positions where those people did see more in me. And
Exactly.
I was one that was tasked with all the special projects or
Yes.
have the workload and all these things because
The go-to person. Don't be afraid to be
don't
that
get-
go-to person. Some
yes,
people don't want to be, the go-to person. But guess what? That's how you get noticed, because they know if they give it to you, it's going to get done. Okay. And that's what you want. That
yeah.
is what you want. Hey, let's get, who do you think could do this project? Oh, let's call Sacha because we know if we get her to lead the team, that team is going to get it done. And that's what you want them to say.
And that's
Mhm.
always been my story. Even though I'll be like, why do you always got to give it to me? But
Uh-huh.
but like you said, there is a blessing in that. Is that that silver lining that's in it, because when it comes down to it, you could either be the only one in that company that knows how to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
or you're being seen by those who need to see you.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that's the thing right there.
And make sure that you know your organization, especially if you're there for a while. You have to understand how the organization works. You have to know who the players are. You need to have, I always say that when you're in an organization, you need to have people in just about every area, in accounting, in EEO, in HR that you can call on. Like if you're working on a project, you want to be able to pick up the phone if you got a question because you have a connection in HR. So you need to get out of that little cubicle that you might be sitting in and go visit these other departments so you can build relationships. And that's what it's all about too, to make sure that you have the connections. And it's not about using people because you wanted them to be able to pick up the phone and call you too if they have a question.
Yeah.
So it's give and take. It's not always you getting from them, but if they need something from you, you can do the same thing.
Yeah, you definitely want to do that because people will look at it in a certain way. So that you're doing the give and give.
Mhm.
And but the person on the outside may say, "Oh, she's a team player. Let's
Mhm.
always bring her to the table."
Absolutely.
Or, I love her mindset. Let's continue to give her more things because we want to stretch her more. We want to see what she's more capable of. And,
Yes.
and we don't know these conversations.
Mhm.
We
No,
just
you
know that we just need to show up so we can
yeah,
see the results
that's
of those
that's
conversations.
you hitting on my tagline now. Show up to rise up, okay?
My goodness, I love that. So, hey, since we got that tagline, tell me about Show Up to Rise Up. I know that you have like several summits and things like that. Like,
Mhm.
where did that name come from, and then how and powerful has it been for the ladies that you work with?
Wow, that actually the show up to rise up came from my TEDx talk when I did it in Canada. And that was the name of it, Show Up to Rise Up, which by the way has over 200 and some views now. I am very excited about that. Hopefully getting to pushing it out there to get it to 1 million views. But because of how well, the talk came across and how people, the comments that I got from women, how they enjoyed it, they wish they had this information when they were in the, I mean, it was just so many great comments that came from that. I just decided to create things around that can really also impact women. So I have the Show Up to Rise Up retreat that I'm now doing yearly. I have my Show Up to Rise Up virtual summit. So it's like I'm working on a project now where it's going to, my book, the next book that's coming out is going to be Show Up to Rise Up and probably something else going with that. But it just resonates. It's just resonated since I did the talk. And that is what it stemmed from, the TEDx talk. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, wow. I
Mhm.
love how you're taking one thing
Mhm.
and you are putting it in so many different forms
Yeah.
and how each one can make a stream of income. One of the things I talk about a lot with people is how you can leverage platforms and
Yeah.
have multiple streams of income, especially under a personal brand. And for
Absolutely.
you to do that, and you're like, you got different extensions and everything will come in, but it still supports what you're saying and it's still going to make impact either
Yeah.
way. I just love that. I love it so much.
Thank you.
Question.
Uh-huh.
So going back to executive women,
Mhm.
and I know there's a big thing where when we're looking at entrepreneurial mindset
Mhm.
and executives within a company, how
Right.
important is it, or how can one leverage having an entrepreneurial mindset as a C-suite employee?
Oh my goodness. You know, actually with the female veterans that I work with, when they're transitioning out of the military, I work with a lot of them that want to get into business. And so, of course, they have to change that mindset from that military structure. You have to change it a little bit.
Yeah.
But so, what I do is we talk about having a successful mindset. And
Mm.
that's what we start working on. That, just thinking success. What can I do to make this successful? How do I put this together? How can I help the next person once I put this program in place? How will this program help the next person be successful? And so it's all about having a successful mindset. And I really believe that that's key, because you can't do anything when you're in a negative zone. You have to think positive. You have to think of success.
Mhm.
And so that's the way I do it. That's the way I train the people that come to me, and that's how the coaching sessions go. First, we start off with the positive attitude and the
Mhm.
successful mindset, especially if you're going into entrepreneurship. It's like one of those things where even if you're like when we first came on, you said, "How was your day?" I said, "Long." But the thing about it is, I don't complain about it, because if you're doing what you like to do, or if you're doing what you love doing, and you make other people, um you just making other people successful, or you're giving to other people, helping them to get where they're trying to go. To me, that's always a success. So I don't think I have anything to complain about if I know that I'm able to keep somebody else moving forward. And that's what I mean about that success mindset. So I never, if someone say to me, "How are you doing?" It's never, "Oh girl, I just can't, I don't," I never go there. I never go there. And I try to help my clients and coaching them to feel the same way about it. Always keep that success mindset, because you can always, like you talked, I think you mentioned the silver lining. You can always find the silver lining if you keep that success mindset. I believe that anyway.
That's awesome. I love that. The success mindset. You guys, you have to have a successful mindset at all times, even when you don't feel like it. Because like you just mentioned, like you don't even complain about
Mhm.
what could have happened, why the day was long.
Yeah,
But when you really look at that non-complaint, is still you're looking at the success of it, because you still made it through the day. You still made
absolutely.
it home safely.
Got
you know,
the things
success
that
is in so
didn't
many
get
different ways.
done, and what didn't get done, there's
Mhm.
always tomorrow. So there you go.
I love it. I love it. But it also keeps you on that level of positivity,
Yes.
because when you have those positive thoughts, more great things happen,
Mhm.
because our thoughts, really does create
Oh,
things,
yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
it's like the more positive we are, the more, not saying challenges won't be around,
Oh, yeah.
but at least it helps us to be able to manage those things with a lighter heart, a lighter
Right.
mind, and so forth. And, so I really do love, how you just pulled all that together and everything. So
Thank you.
now, with some tips. So when we have these executive women, and with you being the career strategist, you
Mhm.
help them to that C-suite level. That's their goal. So
Mhm.
what are some tips that you can give anyone that's watching, any woman who's watching that
Mhm.
may be on that track?
To get into the C-suite,
Yeah.
well, the first thing is you have to remember that a no is not really a setback for you. You
Mhm.
can't let one no deter you, and you can't self-doubt. You can't have self-doubt, and definitely no self-sabotaging. And
Mhm.
when I say that, I mean, if you look at a posting, and you look at that posting and you see where they may have like 5 things on there that you have to qualify for. And you look at it and you may say, oh, well, I only have maybe 3 of those things, so I don't think I'm going to apply. Uh, no, no. Apply anyway. Because let me tell you a secret. If a man looks at that same poster and he sees that he only has 3 things, maybe even 2 things that he's only qualified for, guess what? He's still going to apply for it. And I bet you he get it. And so you should have the same amount of faith in yourself that you can always, once you get on the position or in the position, you can always learn whatever else you need to learn. The thing is to get in there. So never doubt yourself. Always believe that you're worthy of whatever you go after. So never give up. So that will be my tip, is always never give up on yourself. Because if you give up on you, then everybody else is going to give up on you too. I mean, because if I see that you don't have any faith in yourself, then how am I going to have faith in you? So first thing, you really don't give up on yourself. Always have faith, always know that you're worthy, always know that you're valuable, and always know that you can do whatever you set out to do with that success mindset.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love everything, especially that self-sabotaging part. Because I know so many of us, we get into that. I know even myself, I second guess myself sometimes. I do it less now. But
what if I do it? What if I fail? What if? You got to drop the what ifs. Yes. No.
That's so true. Because I remember, wanting to apply for a position years ago. And, I'm sitting talking to my mom. My mom pretty much had conversations like how you're talking right now. She was like, well, Sacha, blah, 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 I'm like, okay. And I'm just going, but I knew in my heart that I could do it. Right. I knew in my skills I can do it. But it was like, sometimes it's that we're going to step to another level.
Yes.
And that's where we get kind of shaky, because it's like, can we handle the next level?
What ifs? Yes.
Yes, exactly. I applied anyway. I got the position.
And so,
but we can't do that to ourselves. Like,
no.
And I'm testing
that. We know more than we think we know. And that's the thing. Sometimes you know more than you actually think you know. You look at it and you probably have at least 4 of those things out of that 5. But all you're seeing is maybe 3 of them. So you're going to let the other 2 go and think that you shouldn't, go for it. But the thing of it is, apply for it. And when you get in that interview, you could probably talk yourself into that position, as long as you keep that positive attitude and, do your research, of course, before you walk in there. And so you can know what you're talking about. And I'm not saying, fabricate anything. But what I am saying, I'll say something that someone told me a long time ago when I talked to them about a position I wanted to apply for. One of the things this lady said to me, she says, when you put in that application, make it sound like you can walk on water. She said, because the purpose is to get into the interview. And once you get into the interview, then you can sell yourself.
Yeah, I love it. Get the seat at the table. Bring yourself to that table. Oh, wow. I love that. Walk on water. Okay, guys. When you're listening to Dr. Lewis right now, if you're out there and you are pondering that application or, tightening up your resume and things like that, just go for it. Get rid of the what ifs. That you want it. You want to at least strive for it. Make sure you do that, because you don't know what's on the other side of it. You don't know, what can happen once you just put that application through, once you put that resume there. You don't know. You don't know what blessings are there for you that can open up the room for you. So just do it. Yes. So I know we talked about your summit, Show Up to Rise Up, and you have one coming up in the next several months. Let's talk about that.
Yes, in September, and it is going to be, what did I say? September 26th through the 28th.
Yes.
It's a virtual summit, Show Up to Rise Up virtual summit. And let me just put out there that I am looking for speakers. So if you want to speak on the platform for my Show Up to Rise Up virtual summit, you can contact me, of course, at TEDxWSI.com, and we can go over everything. It's, of course, your topic. If it falls under the show up to rise up, we're going to be good, because this is for women all over the world. So whatever that can make an impact on them, that is what this summit is all about. So it could be in any area, any field, accounting, whatever, technology, whatever you feel your story is. If you just want to come and tell your story, we're ready to listen.
All right, you guys, you heard her. You make sure that if you're out there, you're a speaker and you want to be on a platform with some amazing women and following Dr. Lewis' guidance and her leadership, okay, reach out to her. Don't sleep on it. Show up to rise up first by getting that email to her.
info@exwsi.com. There you go.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. I love our conversation today. It's so amazing, so wonderful. And now we did, okay, one other question too before we even close out. So what about resume tips? What should women do with their resumes? Is they're tightening it up for that position that they're going for? What are some great tips that you could give them?
Well, with your resume, you have to remember, sometimes you put together your resume and you don't actually put everything in it that you've done. If you worked at a community center, you may have did a whole lot of stuff for a nonprofit, different things that you've done. Make sure you include that, because that sometimes it fall under different areas. It could fall under interacting with others. It could fall under being able to lead a team. It could fall under if you did their books, accounting, what have you. So make sure that you look at everything that you've done and you put it in that resume. Don't think that because you didn't get certified in working on this for this nonprofit, you were there, and maybe you did it as an internship or whatever. Put it in your resume. You still did it. It's still experience. It's still something you did. It's still skills. So you want to make sure that you include it in there, because everything is important when people are looking at what you've done. It's important for them to get an overall picture of you, to see, if you volunteered at an organization, you volunteered working with children, and different things like that. They want to see that kind of stuff. That, don't look at it as not being important, because it is. So when you're tightening up your resume, you make sure you put all those little things in there that you may feel might not be of consequence. They really are.
That's good. Very, very, very valuable points. Thank you so much for sharing. And thank you for being here tonight on our show. It's been such a blessing. Oh my gosh, I love it. I don't even want to end the conversation. I want to talk all night long, but we can't. But before we go, any final words of wisdom you would like to share?
Well, I would just again say to women, I'm going to use my famous tagline: show up to rise up. Because if you are not there, then you can't get the opportunity. You miss out on the opportunity. If you're not in the room, you won't know what's going on. You got to be present. So show up to rise up. Make sure that you speak up about your experiences. As I say, don't feel bad about tooting your own horn. That's a must. That's a given. Do it. Don't be afraid about it, because as women, we have to be able to exhibit that strength in this world to let people know what we know. That will be my ending tip.
Awesome. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, for watching. And we're actually, I didn't mention, but this is going to be the last segment for this half of our season. So we're closing out very well with Dr. Madeline Lewis. Oh my gosh, such a nice, fiery conversation. And so, but we'll be back in July. We'll be back in July for our other half of our season. And I want everyone to just enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. And remember that everything you do, be great and command your day. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.